Lay back, get comfortable. Let the weight of your day begin to loosen, slowly. This is not a video you need to stay awake for. It's the kind of video that lets you drift, the kind that speaks gently, without needing to be remembered. Because sleep doesn't ask you to understand. It only asks you to surrender. And tonight, as your thoughts begin to quiet down, we'll wander through one of the softest mysteries in science, the strange and gentle world of dreams. Nobody really knows what a dream is. Not exactly, not completely. You've likely had hundreds, maybe thousands, of dreams in your lifetime. Some vivid, some forgotten before your eyelids even opened. Some peaceful, some strange, some so odd that they didn't feel like they belonged to you at all. And that's the puzzle, isn't it? A dream is a private movie, playing just for you, using images from your life, but arranging them in impossible, slippery ways. 1 minute, you're walking through your school cafeteria. The next, the floor turns to sand. Your teacher becomes your grandmother, and your phone has melted into a bird. And somehow, it makes perfect sense until you wake up. But what is a dream? Let's start with the simplest answer. A dream is what happens when your brain is still working, but your body has gone still. The theater lights go out, but the projector keeps running, and the result is unpredictable. Your brain never really shuts down, even when you sleep. It hums quietly in the background, sorting through memories, checking on systems, and reasons we still don't fully understand. It starts to play with reality. In the 1950s, scientists discovered a sleep phase that was completely different from the rest. The body was at rest, but the eyes beneath closed lids were darting back and forth. This phase became known as REM, sleep rapid eye movement, and it's the stage most strongly associated with dreaming. In REM sleep, your brainwaves look almost like they do when you're awake. Your heart rate becomes irregular. Your breathing changes. Your muscles go limp, almost paralyzed. In fact, as if your body is being held still while your mind runs wild. This is when the dreaming usually begins. But dreaming can also happen in non-REM sleep. Lighter dreams, fuzzier, harder to remember. And no matter which phase they happen in, dreams are rarely logical. They break time. They ignore space. They let you meet people who aren't alive, or who never existed at all. Some scientists believe dreams are the brain's way of filing memories, choosing which ones to keep and which ones to forget. Others believe they're emotional regulators, helping you process feelings you didn't deal with during the day. But some, and perhaps this is the gentlest explanation of all, believe dreams are just what happens when a mind finally has no job to do, when it's no longer watching the clock, poll, or responding to emails, or listening to the world, when it's finally allowed to be a child again, curious, unfiltered, free. Dreams have been around far longer than science. Long before IG machines and sleep labs, humans have been dreaming and wondering why. The ancient Egyptians believed dreams were messages from the gods. They even had dream interpreters, people trained to decode the symbols and meanings of what you saw at night. If you dreamed of a snake, they'd consult a scroll. If you dreamed of water, they'd look to the stars. In ancient Greece, dreams were seen as journeys. There were temples called Asclepions, where people would sleep overnight to receive divine dreams that would guide healing or decisions. Even in the Bible, dreams are treated as important messengers. Joseph dreamed of sheaves of wheat. Jacob dreamed of a ladder to the heavens. Dreams weren't just random nonsense. They were seen as sacred. Today, we don't often treat them that way. We usually dismiss them as strange leftovers from the day, just brain static, just noise. But have you ever woken up and felt your dream in your chest? Even if you couldn't explain it, even if the details vanished, the feeling remained, as if some shadow of the dream had followed you back into the waking world. There are dreams that leave a mood behind, a softness, a fear, a longing, and there are dreams that repeat over and over for years. Sometimes the same place, sometimes the same face, and always we wonder, what is this trying to tell me? Freud believed dreams were wish fulfillment, that they revealed hidden desires. The conscious mind couldn't accept. He believed symbols in dreams masked real thoughts too uncomfortable to face directly. So if you dreamed of climbing a ladder, he'd say you wanted power. If you dreamed of losing your teeth, perhaps you were afraid of aging or losing control. Carl, young Freud's student, believed dreams were more than wish fulfillment, that they came from the collective unconscious, a shared symbolic language that all humans carry. P believed in archetypes, the shadow, the wise old man, the child, and that our dreams connect us to something deeper than personal memory. Today, psychology is less certain. Many scientists now believe that dreams are the brain's way of creating simulations, testing ideas in a safe space, trying out scenarios, rehearsing survival. You dream you're being chased, not because someone is after you, but because your brain is testing your reaction to fear. It's a sandbox, pit a rehearsal, a simulation without risk. But even this is just a theory, because nobody can step inside your dream but you. No machine can record it. No camera can film it. It exists only in the theater of your own sleeping mind, and it dissolves the moment you wake, like snow on skin. So for now, all we can do is observe, lie still, and watch as our minds slip the rules of day. Watch as old memories combine with things that never happened. Watch as impossible things become normal, just for a little while. And as we do, we remember something simple, that not everything real has to be remembered, and not everything remembered has to be real. Some things are allowed to disappear, like a dream, like a whisper, like this moment, just let go. Asterisk, there's something quiet about sleep that science can't quite capture. It's a silence deeper than just the absence of sound. It's a withdrawal, not from the world, exactly, but from having to react to it. And as your eyelids grow heavier, as the muscles in your shoulders soften, you begin to slip into that space where the lines blur between thought and dream, between now and nowhere. But what really happens when you fall asleep? Let's drift there together, softly, slowly. You don't fall asleep all at once. It's not like a light switch. It's more like a dimmer, turning down the noise, the light, the urgency, until eventually even your sense of being awake. The exact reason we dream is still debated, but one thing is clear. During REM, your mind is in storytelling mode. Random signals, memories, and emotions get stitched together into surreal narratives. Sometimes they make sense. Often they don't. But they almost always feel real, at least while they're happening. REM sleep plays a huge role in emotional regulation. Some researchers believe that this stage helps you process complex feelings like grief or fear or love that has nowhere to go. That might be why emotional experiences, especially traumatic ones, often show up in dreams. It's as if the brain is saying, "Let me hold this for you. Let me sort it out." The sleep cycle, these stages, from light sleep to deep, and then into REM, repeat throughout the night. On average, you cycle through them 4 to 6 times. But here's the strange part. Each time you go through the cycles, the balance changes. In the first half of the night, your sleep is deeper, more slow wave. In the second half, REM periods become longer and more intense. That's why many people have their most vivid dreams right before waking up, when your REM cycles are strongest. It's also why waking up in the middle of the night might leave you with a strange half-memory of a dream. Something about a staircase, or someone you haven't seen in years. But already it's fading, because dreams don't like being remembered. They prefer the dark. What affects your sleep? Sleep doesn't always come easily. Your brain and body have their own circadian rhythm, an internal clock that runs on a rough 24-hour cycle. It's controlled by light, by hormones, by habits. When the sun rises, light enters your eyes and signals your brain to reduce melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy at night. When the world dims, melatonin production increases and your body begins to wind down. But modern life interferes. Screens glow long after sunset. Stress lingers in the chest. Noise leaks in through walls and windows. And so, many people struggle to sleep. Caffeine, alcohol, erratic schedules, all of these shift your sleep cycles. Even what you dream and how well you remember it can be influenced by how deeply and how long you sleep. A body without sleep, if you've ever pulled an all-nighter, you know the effects: grogginess, irritability, difficulty focusing. But the deeper effects of sleep loss are stranger. After just 24 hours without sleep, your brain starts behaving differently. Reaction times slow. Emotions intensify. Decision-making becomes impaired. After 36 hours, inflammation rises. Hormones become unstable. And REM sleep, if it's delayed for long enough, will eventually come rushing back in what's called REM, rebound. Your brain trying to make up for what it missed. Some sleep researchers have even recorded people slipping into microsleeps, tiny blackouts lasting just a few seconds. While still awake, the body needs sleep, not just for rest, but for memory, for mood, for survival. And so, we dream not because we choose to, but because the brain must sleep. And when it sleeps, it wanders into symbols, into half-thought, into story fragments made of emotion and memory. We'll never fully control it. And perhaps that's the beauty of it, that even in the age of brain scans and data, there is still one place we go each night where we do not fully understand ourselves. And for now, that's enough. Asterisk, you're still here. Maybe your eyes are already closed. Maybe your breathing has slowed. Maybe the edges of the day have blurred, just enough that even time itself feels softer. That's exactly where we want to be. No rush, no questions you need to answer. Just quiet company, as we keep drifting deeper into the strange, poetic landscape of sleep. And now that we've wandered through the stages of sleep, we arrive at the question no one has ever fully answered. Why do we dream at all? It seems so strange, doesn't it? To fall asleep, to fully disconnect from your body, and yet be plunged into vivid, emotional, and often bizarre stories that feel real, and vanish the moment you wake. We spend almost a third of our lives asleep, and a large portion of bedtime dreaming, and yet we still don't know exactly why, but we have theories, many of them, some old, some new, none fully proven, all fascinating. So tonight, let's explore them, not as hard facts, but as quiet possibilities. Theory one dreams as memory sorting one. Of the most widely studied theories in modern sleep science is the idea that dreams help us organize memory. Your brain receives an overwhelming amount of information every single day: images, conversations, sensations, decisions, regrets, surprises, but it can't possibly store all of it. So when you sleep, your brain begins sorting, deciding what to keep and what to let go. Some memories are transferred from short-term storage into long-term banks, deep within your hippocampus and cortex. Others are deleted, not maliciously, just quietly, like cleaning out a cluttered drawer. Dreams, in this theory, are the byproduct of that sorting process. As your brain shifts and replays fragments of your day, they mix with older memories, with faces, feelings, fears, and the result is a strange mosaic, a half-narrative made of scraps. You dream that you're in your childhood bedroom, but your coworker is there, and also your pet from when you were 10. And the wallpaper is made of old grocery lists. It makes no sense, and yet it feels right while you're inside it, because memory is not stored in order. It's stored in networks. Emotions linked to images, sounds tied to feelings, and sometimes when the brain is cleaning house, it gets creative. Theory to dreams as emotional processing. Another theory says dreams are not just about memory, they're about emotion. During the day, your brain is busy reacting to the world, It doesn't always have time to digest what you feel. So when you sleep, especially during REM, your brain begins replaying emotionally charged experiences, trying to make sense of them. This could explain why people with trauma often have recurring dreams, or why arguments replay in strange new forms, or why people who've passed away sometimes visit us in dreams, not to say anything new, but simply to be present. Your dream might not be logical. It might not offer a solution. But it may be part of the process of making peace with something. That has no answer. Some researchers call this overnight therapy. Your brain behind the scenes, comforting itself without needing you to consciously participate. Theory 3. Dreams as threat simulations. One goes deeper into the survival side of the mind. Some evolutionary psychologists believe that dreams are practice runs for real danger. You dream you're being chased. You dream you're falling. You dream, or maybe they're echoes from some deeper part of you. We may never fully know, but every night your mind opens that door again, and you go into that place where nothing makes sense, and everything feels important. And when you return, you might forget the dream, but the feeling stays, like mist on your skin, like a word half whispered, like something left behind on purpose. Because maybe not all things are meant to be remembered. Some things are only meant to be experienced, softly, briefly, and then let go. Asterisk, it's easy to forget that we are not the first to wonder about dreams. You lie there now, breathing slowly, eyes soft, drifting in and out of thought. And somewhere thousands of years ago, someone else was doing the same dot, lying beneath a sky lit by firelight instead of electricity, listening to the night settle outside their home, and wondering what was that dream trying to say, long before sleep studies and brain scans, before scientists named REM and recorded electric pulses in the skull. People were dreaming, and they didn't treat dreams as noise. They treated them as messages. Tonight, we'll quietly drift across time, through temples and scrolls, jungles, dell, and deserts, to witness how different cultures across centuries made sense of that strange space between sleep and waking. Ancient Egypt, the scrolls of sleep there. Egyptians didn't think dreams were meaningless. In fact, they believed dreams were communications from the divine messages sent by God's ancestors, or spirits to guide the living. Some even said that sleep itself allowed the soul, the Ba, to leave the body temporarily, roam the world, grind, return by morning. Around 1300 BCE, Egyptian priests began compiling their dreams. These weren't diaries, they were dream manuals, written on papyrus scrolls. One of the most famous is the Ramesside Dream Book. It lists hundreds of dreams and their meanings, written like tiny riddles. If a man sees himself drinking warm beer, he will suffer misfortune. If a man sees himself eating crocodile flesh, good things will come to him. Each dream had 2 columns, one for good dreams and one for bad dreams. Dream interpretation was a priestly duty. Temples had designated dream interpreters, trained to understand symbolic meaning. Some people even slept inside temples to receive sacred dreams, a kind of divine therapy to the Egyptians. A dream wasn't a glitch. It was a revelation. Ancient Greece, healing in sleep in ancient Greece. Dreams were not only divine, they were healing. Temples called Asclepians were built in honor of Asclepius, the god of medicine. And these temples weren't full of surgeons or herbalists. They were full of dreamers. Patients would come from far away to be purified through fasting, baths, and prayer. Then, at night, they would lie on stone beds in a dark, quiet chamber and wait for a dream. The Greeks believed Asclepius would visit you in your sleep, either directly or through sacred animals like snakes. The dream would show you what you needed: a ritual, a remedy, a change in spirit. Priests called therapeuti would help interpret what was seen. In a world before modern medicine, the mind was not separate from the body, and healing often began in dreams. The Bible and Middle Eastern traditions in Jewish, Christian, and Islamic traditions. Dreams were often treated with reverence. In the Hebrew Bible, dreams are central to many stories. Joseph dreams of sheaves, wheat bowing down to his. Later, he interprets Pharaoh's dream about fat and skinny cows, a message of upcoming famine. Jacob dreams of a ladder stretching to heaven, with angels ascending and descending. He wakes and says, "Surely, the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it." Dreams, in these traditions, are not random. They are tools of prophecy. In the Quran, dreams are seen as glimpses of truth, sometimes from Allah, sometimes from angels, and sometimes from one's own nafs, or soul. Prophet Muhammad himself was said to have received messages and affirmations in dreams. Even today, dreams hold great spiritual meaning across the Middle East, often seen as gentle warnings or spiritual nudges. Native American cultures, webs of the spirit. Among many Native American nations, including the Ojibwe, Lakota, and Apache, dreams were treated as deeply personal and spiritually sacred. They weren't interpreted in a universal sense, like a dictionary. Instead, they were understood in the context of each dreamer's journey. Dreams were believed to come from the spirit world, a place parallel to this one, where ancestors and guides could speak. Young people were encouraged to remember and share their dreams. Elders might help explain the meaning or guide someone based on what was seen. One of the most iconic symbols from native culture is the dream catcher. Traditionally, dream catchers were handmade webs strung across willow hoops, hung above sleeping barriers. The idea was simple but poetic. Bad dreams would get caught in the web, while good dreams slipped down the feathers to the sleeper below. It wasn't a superstition. It was a reminder that dreams could be listened to, filtered, respected. Hinduism and Buddhism, the dreaming Mindian Hindu philosophy. Dreams are often linked to Maya, the illusion of the physical world, just as dreams feel real while you're in them. So does waking life, but both, in some ways, are passing. The ancient Hindu text, the Upanishads, says, "As a man passes from dream to wakefulness, so does the soul pass from death to life. Dreams are considered reflections of karma, glimpses of inner truth, or lessons carried from past lives. In Buddhism, dreams can appear during deep meditation, seen as manifestations of the subconscious or projections of desire. But even here, the dream is not something to decode. It is something to observe, to watch without attachment. In Tibetan Buddhism, advanced practitioners engage in dream yoga, a state of lucid dreaming used to train the mind in awareness. Even during sleep, the goal isn't to control the dream, but to realize that it too is impermanent. Ancient China, portals between worlds in ancient Chinese philosophy. Dreams were connected to the movement of key life force through the body. Dreams were taken seriously as signs of health imbalance or emotional unrest. Taoist texts even speak of dreaming as travel, the spirit leaving the body temporarily to visit other planes. The philosopher Zhuangzi once famously dreamed he was a butterfly, and when he woke up, he wondered, was I a man dreaming I was a butterfly, or a butterfly dreaming I am a man? To this day, the Chinese language uses separate characters for dreaming while asleep and dreaming while awake, acknowledging that both states have meaning. Dreams in African traditions across the African continent. Dreaming holds a deep spiritual and ancestral importance. In many traditional societies, from the Zulu to the Yoruba, dreams are seen as a form of communication. How common is it? You may have had a lucid dream before, even if you didn't know the term. Some studies suggest that about 55% of people have experienced at least one lucid dream in their lifetime. Around 23% say they experience it regularly, maybe once a month or more. Children often have more spontaneous lucid dreams than adults, possibly because their sense of reality is still flexible, blending imagination and awareness more freely. But it can also be trained gently, patiently, and always in stillness. What happens in the brain? Lucid dreaming usually occurs during REM sleep, when your brain is already active, your eyes are moving rapidly, and vivid dreams are taking place. But in lucid dreaming, something strange happens. A region of the brain called the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, which is usually quiet during REM, becomes partially reactivated. This part of the brain is responsible for self-awareness, decision-making, working memory. So, in essence, the part of you that knows you exist wakes up inside the dream. It's like turning on a soft light in a dark theater. The movie still plays, but now you're aware that you're watching it. How to train yourself for lucid dreaming. Some people can lucid dream naturally. For others, it's a practice, and like any practice, it requires gentle attention, not pressure. Here are a few methods used by lucid dreamers around the world. 1. Dream journaling, simplest tool. Keep a notebook by your bed. As soon as you wake up, before checking your phone, before standing up, write down anything you remember from your dreams. It doesn't have to be complete, just fragments, feelings, images, places. This trains your brain to notice and remember dreams be more easily, and it becomes easier to spot patterns or repeated elements over time. Your dreaming self becomes more familiar. Two. Reality checks throughout your waking day. Ask yourself, am I dreaming? It sounds strange, but it builds a habit. Look at your hands. Count your fingers. Try to push your finger through your palm. Look at a word, then look again. Has it changed? In a dream, these things behave unpredictably. Words shimmer, fingers blur, physics forgets itself. Doing reality checks while awake trains your brain to eventually do them while dreaming. And in that moment, lucidity can begin. Point 3. MILD. Mnemonic induction of lucid dreams before falling asleep. Repeat a gentle affirmation. Tonight, I will realize I'm dreaming. This isn't a command. It's a whisper, a suggestion to your sleeping mind. The more you set the intention, the more likely it is to arise. For WBTB, wake back to bed. Some lucid dreamers use the wake back to bed method. Sleep for 5 to 6 hours, gently wake up. Stay awake for 15 to 30 minutes. Go back to sleep while focusing on the intention to become lucid. This places your return to sleep closer to a strong REM phase, making dreams more vivid and lucidity more possible. 5. Wild, wake-initiated, lucid dreaming. This method involves maintaining awareness as your body falls asleep. It's more advanced, more difficult. You lie still, focus on your breath or imagery, and let your body drift into sleep while your mind stays gently alert. Eventually, dream images may begin to form. Shapes, lights, sounds. A doorway opens. If you can step through it, you enter a lucid dream directly, but it requires patience and no expectations. What can you do inside a lucid dream? Lucid dreams can be playful, but they can also be profound. People report all kinds of experiences. Flying over oceans, exploring ancient cities, having conversations with lost loved ones, solving creative problems, simply sitting quietly and observing some use lucid dreaming. To overcome fears by choosing to face them in a safe, controlled setting. A kind of dream therapy. Others use it for emotional closure, to say what couldn't be said in waking life, and some just float, weightless, free, a witness to the mystery. Are there risks? Lucid dreaming is generally safe, but a few things to note. Some people experience sleep paralysis during the transition into or out of lucidity. It can be scary, but it passes. Some may wake feeling mentally tired if they overexert themselves in the dream. If done obsessively, it can slightly disturb natural sleep rhythms. The key is balance. Treat lucid dreaming as a gentle curiosity, not a conquest. Let it arrive when it wants. Let it fade when it must. The deeper meaning lucid dreaming isn't just about controlling your dreams. It's about watching your mind with clarity, kindness, and curiosity. It teaches you to recognize when you're caught in illusion. Let go of fear. Play again. Like a child, Accept that you are the dreamer, and the dreamer, Tibetan Buddhist dream yoga. The goal is not to control the dream, but to realize its nature, to know that it is empty of permanence, but full of experience, just like life. So tonight, whether you become lucid or not, whether you fly or forget or simply rest, let your sleep be soft. Let your mind wander. Let your breath guide you deeper and deeper still. And if you wake inside your dream, smile. You are the light inside your own night. Asterisk. Even in the softest dreamscape, not everything is gentle. Sometimes, in the deepest parts of sleep, a shadow enters. It may wear no face. It may speak no words. But it arrives quietly, sometimes suddenly, and it wraps the dream in unease. Tonight, we're going to lie beside that feeling, not to fear it, not to banish it, but to understand it. This is the story of nightmares, why they visit, what they carry, and what they might be whispering, just beneath the surface of sleep. No need to tense, no need to brace yourself. We're not entering the nightmare. We're observing it, softly, like watching lightning from a warm, dry room. Let's begin. What is a nightmare? A nightmare is a dream that causes distress, where most dreams dissolve into nonsense or whimsy. Nightmares stir something deeper: fear, helplessness, sadness, shame. They can be vivid, they can wake you up, and they often leave behind a feeling that lingers in the chest, the breath, the way your body holds itself the next morning. Nightmares are more than just bad dreams. They're emotional experiences that often jolt you awake. Faster heart rate, shallow breathing, a sense of alarm. Your brain doesn't always know the difference between dream and reality in the moment. So the fear feels real, even if the setting is impossible. But what if we looked at nightmares not as punishments, but as messages? Not comfortable ones, not easy ones, but still meaningful. Why do we have nightmares? There isn't a single cause, but there are patterns. Nightmares often occur during REM sleep, the same stage where regular dreams and lucid dreams happen. But instead of playful imagery or quiet, what do nightmares mean? Not all nightmares are symbolic, but many carry recurring themes, not just images, but emotions. Being chased gives avoidance or fear in waking life. Falling gives loss of control. Instability, teeth falling out, gives anxiety, fear of aging. Loss of power, being lost, gives uncertainty. Lack of direction, being late, gives pressure, guilt. Fear of failure, being watched or followed, gives paranoia. Guilt, social anxiety, natural disasters, gives overwhelm. Feeling helpless, you don't have to decode every nightmare. There's no universal dream dictionary. But sometimes, simply asking, "What was I feeling in that dream?" can reveal more than asking, "What did it mean?" How to cope with nightmares. If nightmares disturb your sleep regularly, or leave you emotionally shaken, there are gentle steps you can take. 1. Create a calming pre-sleep ritual. Dim the lights an hour before bed. Avoid screens, especially stimulating content. Listen to calming music or ambient sound. Practice slow breathing or light stretching. Drink something warm and gentle, herbal. Tea, warm milk. This signals the nervous system. It's safe to rest. 2. Journal the nightmare gently. If a nightmare wakes you and you're still alert, write down what you remember, not just the plot, but the feelings. Then, if you feel ready, try rewriting the ending. Give it softness. Give yourself safety in the narrative. This technique, called imagery rehearsal therapy, has been shown to reduce the frequency and intensity of nightmares over time. 3. Talk to someone. Sometimes a nightmare reflects something you haven't spoken aloud, whether to a friend, therapist, or even your own journal. Giving the fear language takes away its shadow. Naming things softens them. 4. Practice grounding. Techniques if you wake up shaken. Touch something cool or textured. Focus on your breath. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Remind yourself aloud. It was a dream. I am safe. I am awake. Even in the dark, your body listens to your word. When nightmares visit not, every night will be peaceful. But even nightmares are part of you. They are not invaders. They are not invaders. They are not punishments. They are emotional echoes, sometimes too loud, sometimes too raw, but they come from inside, and that means they can be met with gentleness, with curiosity, with healing. You don't have to fight them. You can listen. You can observe. You can let them pass through you, like wind, because the night is not always silent. But even when the storm rises, you are still safe, still here, still breathing, and the dawn always comes. Asterisk, let's stay still, just for a little longer. You're safe, warm, breathing slow and steady. But imagine this. You wake up in your room, your eyes open, and everything looks normal. The walls, the ceiling, the blanket draped over your body. But something feels wrong. You try to move your arms, but they don't respond. You try to call out, but your voice won't come. And then a weight on your chest, a presence, a shadow near the edge of the bed. You're awake, but you're not. And for a few long seconds or minutes, you're caught between worlds. This is sleep paralysis, and tonight we're going to observe it, gently, without fear, like watching a strange cloud pass across the sky. Because what seems like a nightmare is really just the body doing its job in a slightly mistimed way. Let's begin. What is sleep paralysis? Sleep paralysis is a temporary inability to move or speak that occurs while falling asleep or waking up. It usually lasts a few seconds to a couple of minutes. It can feel terrifying, especially the first time, because your mind is awake, but your body isn't. You can see your surroundings. You can hear. You are conscious, but you can't move. You can't speak. And sometimes you may feel like you're not alone. But here's the most important thing. It's harmless. It passes, and it's more common than you think. Why does it happen? To understand sleep paralysis, we have to look at how the body works during REM sleep, during REM, the stage when vivid dreams occur. Your brain paralyzes your muscles. This is called REM atonia. and it's perfectly normal. Prevents you from acting out your dreams. It's a safety mechanism, but sometimes the timing gets out of sync. Your mind wakes up before your body does. You become aware, but the muscle paralysis switch hasn't turned off yet. And so, for a brief moment, you're in between, fully conscious, but still held in the soft grip of REM. What's happening in the brain when sleep paralysis happens? Multiple systems in the brain are out of phase. The thalamus is sending sensory input. The cortex is awake, observing. But the brainstem is still suppressing motor control. It's a biological misfire, not a sign of illness, not a disorder on its own. And it affects people across all cultures, ages, and lifestyles. Some people experience it only once. Others may have it more often, especially during periods of stress, irregular sleep, or sleep deprivation. The hallucinations sleep paralysis isn't just about stillness. Many people report hallucinations, visual, auditory, and physical sensations that feel completely real. These fall into three main categories. 1. Intruder. Hallucinations, a sense that someone is in the room. You may see a shadowy figure, hear footsteps, or feel watched. This is one of the oldest and most universal experiences in sleep paralysis, and it's often the most frightening. But it's not a ghost, not a demon. It's the brain, partially, dreaming, still playing back dream content while your eyes are open. 2. Incubus hallucinations, a feeling of pressure on the chest, trouble breathing, a sense of being held down or suffocated. This is where many old stories of nighttime visitations come from ancient demons to modern alien abduction tales. But physiologically, it's a mix of REM muscle atonia and partial dream mimicry. The chest pressure comes from shallow REM breathing and anxiety. You are breathing, but it may feel strained. 3. Vestibular motor hallucinations, floating, spinning, out-of-body sensations. Some people report feeling like they're levitating or watching themselves from above. This may be the brain's motor systems activating in isolation, disconnected from real body movement. It's surreal, but again, it's temporary. Sleep paralysis in culture and history for thousands of years. People have described this experience. Long before the science, there were stories in Europe. It was called the Old Hag, a witch-like figure who sits on your chest at night, stealing your breath. In Japan, the phenomenon is called kanoshibari, literally meaning bound in metal. It's often associated with spirits or ghosts holding a sleeper down. In Nigeria. Some believe it's caused by the devil riding your back. In Islamic traditions, it's sometimes interpreted as a jinn encounter. In the southern United States, the phrase witch riding was once used to describe it. What's remarkable is how similar these experiences are. Despite culture, language, and time, the brain, when caught, let's drift a little further. By now, your mind is somewhere in between. Not fully awake, not quite asleep. And that's the perfect place to talk about the dreams that seem to blur the line between time and memory. The ones we quietly call premonitions. Have you ever had a dream of something small, something unimportant. And days later, it happened. A hallway you've never seen. A phrase someone says. A weather pattern. A coincidence too strange to feel random. You might have paused, felt a chill, and whispered something like, "I've dreamed this before." Tonight, we're going to gently explore that space, the place where dreams appear to predict the future, not to draw conclusions, not to promise answers, just to observe, to wonder, and to let curiosity float freely, like a leaf on quiet water. What is a precognitive dream? Prayer. Precognitive dream is a dream that seems to contain information about a future event that could not have been known at the time of dreaming. These dreams are typically only recognized in hindsight, after the event has occurred. They are not always dramatic. Sometimes they are subtle, an image, a sentence, a gesture. Other times they are vivid and disturbingly specific. But here's the mystery. Were they really about the future? Or were they simply patterns, misremembered? Tonight, we're not here to prove or disprove, just to observe. Like gentle archaeologists of the mind, ancient beliefs about prophetic dreams, long before science tried to explain dreams. Cultures around the world believed deeply in their power to predict. In fact, many ancient societies saw dreams as a primary source of prophecy. In ancient Mesopotamia, clay tablets record the dreams of kings and generals, interpreted by priests, trained in dream reading. A king dreaming of a flooding river might be told, "An enemy approaches." A vision of a broken spear might mean, "War will end soon." In ancient Egypt, dreams were recorded on papyrus scrolls and interpreted based on fixed symbols. They believed the gods could send warnings or blessings through dreams, and temples were built where people could sleep in hopes of receiving divine messages. In the Bible, prophetic dreams are common. Joseph dreams of famine and plenty, guiding Egypt's preparations. Daniel dreams of beasts and kingdoms. Pilate's wife dreams of Jesus' innocence and warns her husband. In Islamic tradition, dreams are divided into 3 types. True dreams, ruja, often from God. False dreams, hulam, often meaningless. Dreams from the soul, nafs, reflections of thoughts and desires. The first category, true dreams, are said to be a small part of prophecy, and may carry glimpses of what is to come. These beliefs weren't rare. They were normal, expected, respected, and even now, many people, across cultures and ages, still report dreams that feel more than random. Famous examples of prophetic dreams. Let's drift gently through a few stories, not to confirm, just to witness. 1. Abraham Lincoln days before his assassination in 1865. Abraham Lincoln reportedly told close friends of a troubling dream. He said he was wandering the halls of the White House and came upon a funeral. He asked who had died. A soldier replied, "The president. He was killed by an assassin." Lincoln was shaken, and days later he was shot by John Wilkes Booth during a theater performance. Coincidence? Projection? a subconscious fear made visible. We may never know. 2. Mark Twain author. Mark Twain claimed to have dreamed of his brother Henry's death, specifically of his body lying in a metal coffin with a bouquet of white flowers. A week later, Henry died in a steamboat explosion. At the funeral, his body was placed in a metal coffin, a rare expense, and someone had laid white flowers on his chest. Twain was deeply disturbed. He carried the memory for years. 3. 9/11's premonition reports. After the September 11th attacks, some people reported that they had dreamed of plane crashes, buildings falling, or burning towers in the days leading up to the event. Of course, many dreams include such imagery, and with millions of people dreaming each night, coincidence is always possible. But the stories continue. 4. The Aberfan disaster in 1966. A coal waste landslide buried a school in Aberfan, Wales, killing 144 people, most of them children. Afterward, a British psychiatrist named John Barker collected stories from people who claimed to have dreamed about the tragedy before it occurred. One girl who died had told her mother the night before, "I dreamed I went to school, and it wasn't there. Something black had come down and covered it." Again, coincidence or something else? Can the brain see the future? Science doesn't support the idea that dreams can literally predict the future. There is no known mechanism for time to flow backward into the dreaming brain. But there are other explanations, softer, subtler. 1. Subconscious pattern recognition. Your brain constantly absorbs far more than you consciously notice. Body, language, news, tensions, trends. A dream may synthesize that information, like assembling a puzzle from forgotten pieces. It may feel like prophecy, but it's simply the brain noticing something before your conscious mind does. 2. Memory. Bias. We remember dreams that match future events and forget the ones that don't. This is called retrospective falsification. You dream of 100 things. One comes true, and suddenly that dream feels special, meant to be. The others, forgotten. 3. Emotional echoes. Sometimes a dream seems to come true, not because of the content, but because of the feeling it left behind. You dreamed of water. A week later, you have an emotional conversation near a river, and the emotion links the dream and the event. The connection wasn't literal. It was emotional resonance. Your brain links feelings across time. Should you trust a prophetic dream, there's no scientific reason to change your life based on a dream. But there's also no harm in noticing. Keep a dream journal. Write down dreams as soon as you wake. Over time, patterns may emerge, not of future events, but of recurring themes. You may learn more about your own intuition, your fears, your longings. And if you dream of something that later comes true, you don't have to explain it. You can just sit with it, quietly, like a feather landing in your palm, a soft echo of time, without needing to be understood. Dreams may not predict the future, but they sometimes feel like echoes from it. And in the end, maybe that's enough. Not everything needs to be proven. Some things are simply meant to be felt once, then released like a dream, like breath, like this moment. Asterisk, close your eyes, or leave them soft and unfocused. Let your shoulders drop. Let your breath drift in and out without effort. And as your mind continues to wander with us, let's turn inward, not into metaphor, but into the quiet architecture of your own brain. Because when you sleep, your body may lie still, but the default mode network, the wandering mind, the default mode network, or DMN, is a set of interconnected brain regions, active when you're not focused on the outside world. It's associated with daydreaming, self-reflection, imagination, memory during dreaming, especially REM. The DMN is highly active. It's as if your mind is telling a story about you. Without your conscious input, the DMN draws on fragments of experience, blending them with imagined futures and forgotten pasts. That's why so many dreams feel personal, even when they're nonsensical. Your brain is narrating itself, dreaming. As a simulation engine, some researchers believe dreaming is a form of internal simulation. Your brain rehearses emotional scenarios, social situations, fears, and challenges. But unlike real life, there are no consequences, no bruises, no losses, just imagined outcomes. It's like a theater where you play every role. This simulation theory helps explain why dreams often feel like practicing escape from danger, resolving unresolved conversations, replaying conflicts or regrets, testing identities or decisions. The brain is running tests quietly, safely, while you rest. Creativity in the dreaming brain. Your dreaming brain doesn't just remember, it creates. Artists, writers, scientists. Many have credited dreams with breakthroughs. The structure of the benzene molecule was inspired by a dream of a snake biting its tail. Paul McCartney said he heard the melody for Yesterday in a dream. Mary Shelley dreamed of a pale figure and lightning, which inspired Frankenstein. Salvador Dali would nap with a spoon in hand, waking just as he drifted off to capture images from the edge of dreams. During REM, the brain's creative centers cross-pollinate, visual imagery, emotion, memory, symbolism, with logic turned down, and imagination turned up. The dreaming brain becomes a wild, intuitive artist. The brain forgets dreams on purpose. Most people forget 90 to 95% of their dreams. Why? One theory is that during REM, the neurotransmitters involved in memory, like norepinephrine, are suppressed. Another idea: the brain intentionally filters out dreams so that imagined experiences don't get confused with real ones. It's a protective system. Otherwise, we might not be able to tell what's memory and what was just missed. Still, some dreams stick, especially those with strong emotional weight. The amygdala records intensity, so fear, joy, or grief in a dream may anchor it more deeply. This is why a calm dream fades, but a nightmare can. Linger. How the brain transitions between sleep and wakers. You begin to wake. Your brain shifts again. The prefrontal cortex reactivates. The logical centers come online. The sensory world returns. Light, temperature, sound. Dreams dissolve. Reality reasserts itself. And sometimes you carry a feeling into the day. Not a memory, just a mood, a sadness, a softness, a quiet knowing that something happened, but can't be named. Your brain lets go of the story, but keeps the feeling. What can this teach us? The dreaming brain shows us something simple, that we are more than logic, that creativity, emotion, and memory are not separate. They are woven together. Even when we sleep, your brain isn't broken when it dreams. It's not lost. It's not random. It's just exploring the edges, where fear and beauty meet, where past and future touch, and where you, for a little while, become something softer than identity, a flicker, a breath, a drifting mind, on its own stage. So sleep peacefully. Your brain knows the way. Asterisk. Some dreams feel like memories. Others disappear before we even know they've begun. You wake up, and for a moment there's something on the edge. A shape, a sentence, a strange place you almost recognize. But before you can reach for it, it slips through your fingers like mist. Gone. Maybe it was something beautiful. Maybe it was nothing. But all that's left now is a faint impression, like footsteps fading in soft snow. Tonight, let's rest in that space, the space of forgotten dreams. We're not here to chase them. We're not trying to hold on. We're just here to observe why some dreams vanish, and what it means when they do. Why do we forget our dream? Most people forget between 90 and 95% of their dreams. This isn't unusual. It isn't a flaw. It's simply part of how the brain works. You may have had 4, 5, or 6 dreams last night. Long ones, strange ones, vivid ones. But by the time you brushed your teeth, only a few fragments remained, or none at all. Why? There are several reasons, gentle ones, not alarming. And they have to do with how the sleeping brain stores or doesn't store information. Memory systems go quiet during sleep. When you're awake, your brain is constantly forming memories. Short-term, long-term, sensory, emotional. But during REM sleep, some of the brain's memory encoding systems are turned down. Particularly, the hippocampus, a region deeply involved in memory formation, becomes less active. It's as if the brain says, this story doesn't need to be kept, and so it isn't. The dream might still play out, full of images, feelings, ideas, but it fades before it can take root, like a message written in water. Neurochemistry in REM, sleep during REM. The levels of certain neurotransmitters shift. 2 in particular, norepinephrine, linked to alertness and memory serotonin, involved in mood and cognition both, are reduced during REM. And without them, the brain's ability to consolidate memory is weakened. It's as if the dream occurs in a separate dimension, felt deeply while it's happening, but never translated into the language of memory. This doesn't mean dreams are meaningless. It just means they are impermanent by design. The transition gap there, S, also a fragile moment. The gap between dreaming and waking. When you first open your eyes, your brain switches states rapidly, from internally focused to externally, aware from emotional to logical, from visual imagination to visual perception. That shift. Many dreams are simply overwritten, like turning the page too quickly and losing the story halfway through. Even if you wanted to remember, the file may already be gone. The nature of Dreamtime dreams, Dan. T follow clock time. They can stretch seconds into what feels like hours. They can jump scenes without warning. They can mix faces, places, and moods into impossible sequences. Because of this, they're often hard to store. Memory likes order. Dreams don't offer it. So your brain, trying to sort the experience after waking, finds no anchor dot. And without structure, the dream dissolves. Are forgotten dreams still valuable? Sometimes dreams speak in riddles. You walk through a house with no walls. You lose your voice in a room full of people. You watch your own hands crumble like paper, or you fly weightless, effortless, above a city that doesn't exist. None of it makes sense. And yet, while dreaming, you never question it. Only later, when the morning is quiet and the dream fades like a vapor, do you begin to wonder, what was that supposed to mean? Tonight, we gently wander into the world of dream symbolism. Not to decode your dreams like puzzles, not to promise answers, but to explore how the mind speaks to itself through images, patterns, and metaphors. We're not here to interpret, we're here to listen, to witness how dreams mirror the inner world, not in language, but in symbols. Why do dreams use symbols? Your waking mind thinks in words, but your dreaming mind, it speaks in images, in feelings, in symbols. Why? Because symbols are efficient. A single image, a key, a window, a staircase can carry more emotional weight than a full paragraph. Symbols come from your subconscious. They're drawn from personal experience, memory, culture, and sometimes something older. They don't always follow logic. They don't always mean what they appear to, but they mean something, even if it's just a mood, a memory, an unresolved thought. Your brain reaches into its store of imagery and tells a story you didn't ask for, sometimes soft, sometimes strange, always yours. Common dream symbols and their meanings. Maybe let's drift through some of the most common symbols found in dreams. These meanings aren't fixed. They're not rules. They're starting points, soft guesses that you can try on like a coat, then leave behind if they don't fit, because only you truly know what your symbols mean. Still, there's comfort in seeing how many of us dream the same images. One, falling, the sensation of falling off a cliff. Bring into water, top possible meanings. Loss of control, fear of failure, transition or instability, letting go often the body jerks awake just before impact. A physical reflex, but also a symbolic resistance to surrender. 2. Flying, gliding through the air, often with no wings, sometimes joyful, sometimes frantic. Possible meanings: freedom, escaping limitations, gaining perspective, craving. Control. Flying dreams may reflect your emotional state. Do you feel liberated or like you're fleeing? 3. Being chased. Someone or something is after you. You don't always know why. Possible meanings: avoiding a responsibility, escaping guilt or fear, running from a part of yourself. Feeling overwhelmed. Pay attention to who or what is chasing you. Sometimes it's not a person, it's a feeling. 4. Losing teeth. One of the most common modern dream symbols. Teeth fall out, crumble, or are pulled. Possible meanings: fear of aging, anxiety about appearance, loss of power or control. Feeling exposed in dreams are often tied to self-image. 5. Being naked in public. You realize you're exposed, often suddenly, in a room full of people. Possible meanings: vulnerability, fear of judgment, feeling unprepared, emotional exposure. This dream isn't about shame. It's about being seen. 6. Taking a test unprepared. You're in school again. A test is handed out. You haven't studied. Time runs out. Possible meanings: fear of failure, imposter syndrome, high expectations, feeling judged even long after. School. This dream lingers, a reminder of the pressure to prove yourself. 7. Water. You're in it, near it, watching it. Sometimes calm, sometimes stormy. Possible meanings: emotions, the subconscious change and depth, a need for cleansing or renewal. Calm. Water equals peace. Rough water equals inner turmoil. Flooding equals overwhelmed. Always. Water is a mirror. 8. Death. You die. Someone you know dies. Sometimes it's peaceful, sometimes not. Possible meanings: endings, transformation, letting go, fear of change. Dreams of death are rarely about literal death. They're about the end of something, a belief, a phase, a version of yourself. 9. Pregnancy or birth. Giving birth, seeing a child, being pregnant. Possible meanings: new beginnings, creative ideas, growth, anticipation, or anxiety even. If you're not expecting physically or emotionally, the dream may reflect something growing inside you. 10. Houses. You explore a house, sometimes familiar, sometimes mysterious, sometimes with rooms you've never seen before. Possible meanings: the different aspects of your mind, memory, hidden parts of your identity. Each room might represent a different part of your life. Locked doors, unfinished rooms, a hidden staircase. There's something inside, waiting to be noticed. Jung and the collective symbols. Carl Jung believed that symbols in dreams weren't just personal. He proposed the idea of the collective unconscious, a shared layer of memory and archetypes all humans carry. These archetypes include The shadow, repressed self, the anima, animus, inner feminine, masculine, the wise old man, the child, the mother, the trickster in this theory. Symbols connect not just to your own life, but to something ancient, inherited, universal. You may dream of a forest, not because you've been in one, but because it represents the unknown. You may dream of a serpent, not because you fear snakes, but because it carries universal weight, danger, wisdom, temptation. Jung didn't say dreams were messages. He said they were expressions, paintings from the soul. And your job isn't to decode. Bitus, should you interpret your dreams, only if it feels gentle. Dreams aren't a test. They're not a secret code. They're not always about solving something. Sometimes a dream is just the brain letting off steam. Sometimes it's rehearsal. Sometimes it's memory. Sometimes it's just a flicker. But if a symbol stays with you, if you feel it in your chest long after you wake, it may be worth sitting with. Ask, what did I feel? Have I seen this before? What part of me might this reflect? And then let it go. You don't need a conclusion. You just need attention and kindness. Final thought dream symbols aren't meant to be captured. They're like birds, meant to be watched, listened to, and then released. You don't have to solve them. You just have to honor them. Because when the mind dreams, it's not trying to impress you. It's not trying to teach. It's simply expressing like smoke rising, like ripples on a pond. No shape is permanent, but all of them are real for a moment, and that's enough. Asterisk, the room is quiet now. Only the slow rhythm of breath remains. Outside, the night moves softly, clouds drifting, trees swaying gently, the world folding itself into silence. And somewhere, not far from you, another creature is dreaming. A dog, paws twitching. A cat, whiskers flicking. A horse, eyes rolling beneath closed lids. Even birds, tucked under wing. What do they dream of? Tonight, let's wander quietly into that mystery. What about cats? Cats, too, enter REM sleep. And studies suggest their dreams are rich with predatory behavior. In the 1960s, a French neuroscientist, Michel Jouvet, conducted experiments with cats by disabling the part of the brain that causes REM sleep paralysis. The result. The cats began acting out their dreams. They stalked, pounced, fought invisible prey. They weren't awake, but they were moving through dreamscapes that echoed their instincts. Even today, if you watch a cat sleep, you might see their tail flick, their nose twitch, their limbs stretch. They are not still. They are traveling. Do birds dream? Birds are a more recent discovery in the world of dream research. Songbirds, in particular, have shown signs of REM sleep and replay of learned songs. During sleep, young birds, learning to sing, practice during the day. At night, their brains replay the songs, helping them refine pitch and pattern. It's like a lullaby being reshaped from the inside. Some birds even show REM signs in short naps, brief flashes of activity, as if dreaming in fragments. owls, sparrows, parrots, each with different rhythms, different songs, different inner lives. Dreams may help birds learn, remember, and sing. Do larger animals dream? Elephants sleep less than most mammals, often just 2 to 4 hours per night, and much of it standing up. But when they lie down, they enter deeper sleep, and occasionally REM. It's rare, but it happens. In the wild, elephants have been seen lying on their sides, breathing deeply, their trunks curling and uncurling in rhythm. Do they dream of migration paths, watering holes, lost companions? We don't know, but the size of the animal doesn't limit the depth of experience. Even the largest minds drift. Do octopuses dream? One of the most fascinating creatures in dream science is the octopus. Octopuses are intelligent, curious, and highly adaptable. They sleep, and during sleep, some species change color and texture, even while remaining motionless. Their skin pulses with patterns, stripes, spots, camouflage. Some scientists believe this is a form of REM-like dreaming, the brain replaying memories of hunting, hiding, exploring, even invertebrates. Even creatures without a backbone may enter dream states, which suggests that dreaming is not limited to species, or brain shape, or complexity. Dreaming may be a universal function of consciousness. Where there is memory, there is dream. What can we learn from this? Watching animals dream reminds us of something gentle, something easy to forget. That dreaming is not uniquely human. It is not a luxury, not a mystery locked behind language. It is ancient, instinctive, shared. A dog dreams of running. A bird dreams of singing. A rat dreams of its maze. A child dreams of flying. Each dream unique, but all part of the same quiet phenomenon. The brain, at rest, tells itself stories, whether in fur or feathers, tentacles or fingertips. The mind drifts into vision, into feeling, into shadow. And when we watch animals sleep, we are reminded we are not alone in our dreaming. Final thoughts. There are no subtitles in an animal's dream. No explanations. No words. But perhaps that's the point. Perhaps dreaming, at its core, is a language deeper than speech. A movement of memory, emotion, and instinct, shared across species, across time. So tonight, as you rest, know that you are part of something older than thought. Somewhere a fox is dreaming. A sparrow stirs in its sleep. A dolphin floats beneath the surface, its mind alive with images you'll never see. And you're drifting to dot the world dreams alongside you, quietly, together. Asterisk, the night is still. Perhaps by now you are barely listening, only floating, letting the sound of each word pass over you like ripples in quiet water. That's perfectly fine, because dreams aren't designed to be studied. They are soft things, fluid, personal, unrepeatable, and yet we've tried dot in quiet labs, under dim lights, with wires, sensors, and soft questions, whispered at the edge of waking. We've asked people to sleep and let us watch. Tonight, we'll gently walk through that strange space. The history of dream experiments. What scientists have tried, what they've discovered, and what still remains unknown. We're not chasing answers. We're watching the watchers. Let's begin the first dream lapse. The formal study of dreams began in earnest during the mid-20th century, when scientists first identified the different stages of sleep, particularly REM sleep. In 1953, researchers Eugene Aserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman observed that during certain sleep cycles, a person's eyes would dart back and forth behind closed lids. They woke these sleepers during that phase, and almost every time, the subject reported a dream. It was the first clear link between REM sleep and dreaming. This simple observation changed everything. Suddenly, dreams weren't just vague ideas. They had a biological rhythm. The science of sleep had begun. The dream recall experiments over the years. Scientists began testing how and when people remember dreams. They discovered that timing is everything. When people are woken, during REM gives approximately 80% report vivid, emotional dreams. During non-REM gives approximately 10 to 20% report vague images or feelings. This helped define the architecture of sleep, showing that dreams occur throughout the night, but are strongest and most memorable during REM. Some experiments involved waking participants every 90 minutes, all night long, to record their dream reports immediately. Others used EEG machines to watch brainwaves, only waking sleepers when specific patterns appeared. These methods helped map out the relationship between brain activity and dream experience. But even then, much of what was reported depended on mood, memory, and how gently the subject was woken, because dreams aren't stored like photos. They're more like fog. The dream deprivation studies in some experiments. Scientists tried to stop people from dreaming. They would wake participants every time REM began, interrupting the dream cycle over and over. The result: increased irritability, poor concentration, anxiety, mood swings, a phenomenon called REM rebound, where the brain tried to compensate with more intense REM later. This suggested that dreaming plays a The night is still. Perhaps by now you are barely listening, only floating, letting the sound of each word pass over you like ripples in quiet water. That's perfectly fine, because dreams aren't designed to be studied. They are soft things, fluid, personal, unrepeatable, and yet we've tried in quiet labs, under dim lights, with wires, sensors, and soft questions whispered at the edge of waking. We've asked people to sleep and let us watch. Tonight, we'll gently walk through that strange space, the history of dream experiments, what scientists have tried, what they've discovered, and what still remains unknown. We're not chasing answers. We're watching the watchers. Let's begin. The first dream lapse. The formal study of dreams began in earnest during the mid-20th century, when scientists first identified the different stages of sleep, particularly REM sleep. In 1953, researchers Eugene Oserinsky and Nathaniel Kleitman observed that during certain sleep cycles, a person's eyes would dart back and forth behind closed lids. They woke these sleepers during that phase, and almost every time, the subject reported a dream. It was the first clear link between REM sleep and dreaming. This simple observation changed everything. Suddenly, dreams weren't just vague ideas. They had a biological rhythm. The science of sleep had begun. The dream recall experiments over the years. Scientists began testing how and when people remembered dreams. They discovered that timing is everything. When people are woken, during REM gives approximately 80% report vivid, emotional dreams. During non-REM gives approximately 10 to 20% report vague images or feelings. This helped define the architecture of sleep, showing that dreams occur throughout the night, but are strongest and most memorable during REM. Some experiments involved waking participants every 90 minutes, all night long, to record their dream reports immediately. Others used IG machines to watch brainwaves. Only waking sleepers, when specific patterns appeared. These methods helped map out the relationship between brain activity and dream experience. But even then, much of what was reported depended on mood, memory, and how gently the subject was woken, because dreams aren't stored like photos. They're more like fog. The dream deprivation studies in some experiments. Scientists tried to stop people from dreaming. They would wake participants every time REM began, interrupting the dream cycle over and over. The results increased. Irritability, poor concentration, anxiety, mood swings, a phenomenon called REM rebound, where the brain tried to compensate with more intense REM later. This suggested that dreaming plays a critical role in emotional regulation. The body doesn't just want sleep. It wants to dream. And when denied, it tries to catch up, as if dreaming is not just decoration, but medicine. The content of dreams. Can we influence it? Can scientists influence what people dream about? Some studies have tried using external cues, pre-sleep suggestions, or guided imagery. Let's look at a few methods. 1. Pre-sleep suggestion, mild method. In the mnemonic induction of lucid dreams, mild technique, subjects are told to think about a specific topic or goal before sleeping. Examples. Tonight I will dream of flying. I want to meet a friend in my dream. I will become aware that I am dreaming. This practice increased the likelihood of lucid dreams in some subjects, and occasionally led to dreams containing the exact pre-sleep image or idea. It's not guaranteed, but it shows the dream is malleable, influenced by intention. 2. Sensory input. During sleep, some labs experimented with sounds, scents, or lights introduced during REM sleep. One study played specific sounds, like a dog barking or ocean waves, and then asked the dreamer what they remembered. In some cases, the sound appeared in the dream. I was on a beach. There was a dog following me. The studies used flashing lights and in lucid dreamers. These lights sometimes triggered awareness. The red light came on, and I realized I was dreaming. It suggests the brain listens, even in sleep, but only gently, only partially. 3. Targeted memory reactivation. More recent approach involves pairing a learning task with a sound, then playing that sound during REM sleep. For example, a person learns a pattern with a sound cue. Later, while they sleep, the sound plays. Again, brain scans show reactivation of learning regions, as if the brain is replaying the task in sleep. In some cases, this led to improved performance the next day. The dream may not be remembered, but the brain used the dream to learn. The dream decoder. Can we read dreams? Perhaps the most fascinating and controversial experiments are those trying to decode dreams directly from brain activity. Researchers in Japan used fMRI machines to scan the brains of people as they fell asleep. They then woke them repeatedly and asked what they saw in their dreams. Images like a man, a house, or a car. Over time, they built a database of brain patterns linked to specific images. Eventually, they were able to predict dream content with about 60% accuracy based purely on brain scans. The implications are enormous, but also unsettling, because dreams are not just visual. They are emotional, symbolic, and deeply personal. A dream of a man may mean many things. The scanner can detect shapes, but not meaning. At least, not yet. The lucid dream studies lucid dreamers. Those who are aware they're dreaming have been key participants in dream experiments. In one famous study, lucid dreamers were asked to perform predefined tasks in their dreams, like clenching their fists or looking left and right. Because they were lucid, they could signal to researchers from inside the dream by moving their eyes in specific patterns. The EEG picked up the eye movements, matching the signals exactly. This was groundbreaking. A communication bridge between dreaming and waking. The dreamer could now send a message from the other side of consciousness. What do these experiments tell us? We still don't fully understand dreams, but the studies have revealed a few quiet truths. The brain remembers while dreaming. Emotions are processed in sleep. External cues can influence dream content. Lucid dreamers can act intentionally. Inside dreams depriving REM has emotional consequences. The dreaming brain is highly creative, and perhaps most beautifully. The brain learns and heals in dreams, even when you forget them, a soft warning, as science continues to probe dreams. Some caution is needed, because dreams are not just data. They are sacred in a way, private, mysterious, trying to capture. Bend too tightly risks breaking the very thing we seek to understand. Dreams don't always want to be remembered. And maybe that's okay. We can observe, we can listen, but we must never force. Because dreaming is the mind's quiet ritual, not for science, not for study, but for wholeness. And sometimes the deepest healing happens in silence. Asterisk, the world has changed. We no longer live only in the physical. Much of our time is spent inside machines, devices that hum and glow, respond to our questions, store our memories, and mimic the rhythms of thought. And so it was only a matter of time before we began to wonder, can machines dream? Not metaphorically, but truly. Can artificial intelligence, code, circuits, algorithms, simulate what we call a dream? Tonight, as the real world fades and your mind prepares to drift, we'll take one last soft detour, not into the human subconscious, but into the strange and flickering world of artificial dreams. What they are, why they exist, and what they may one day mean. What does it mean for a machine to dream? A machine doesn't sleep. It doesn't need rest. It doesn't fear or feel or grow tired, at least not in the way you and I do. So when we talk about machines dreaming, we don't mean REM sleep or subconscious symbols or emotions trying to process themselves. We mean something else. We mean a system imagining scenarios it hasn't yet encountered. We mean learning through simulation. We mean a network of zeros and ones, running trial after trial in a space made of pure thought. It's not the same, but it's not nothing, and it might be closer to dreaming than we expected. The origins of machine learning dreams in 2015. Researchers at Google created a project known as Deep Dream. They fed images into a neural network, a kind of AI designed to process visual information, and asked it to enhance the patterns it recognized. The results were strange, dunned dreamlike, a dog's face in a cloud, a cathedral emerging from a tree, fish swimming through a building, eyes staring out of every surface dot. The machine was doing something simple, finding patterns, repeating them, but the effect was startling, as if the AI was hallucinating. These weren't dreams, but they were vision-like creations, surreal, fluid, distorted, like dreams without emotion, like logic, folding in on itself. The concept of dreaming in AI training in the field of reinforcement learning. Machines are trained to make decisions by trial and error, like a child learning to walk, fall, and try again. But what happens when the environment is too complex, too slow, too expensive to test in the real world? That's where dreaming comes in. Some AI systems are now designed to create simulated environments, to imagine thousands of possible scenarios, without ever interacting with the physical world. These imagined experiences are called dreams by some researchers, because the AI is essentially learning from visions it invented. This process helps the AI predict outcomes. Do these dreams have meaning? Not in the human sense. There is no symbol of a childhood home, no memory of a lost friend, no fear of death. But there is pattern, there is compression of experience, there is trial, error, adaptation. The machine doesn't dream of something, it dreams through something. Its dreams are tools, not expressions. Its simulations are mechanical, not emotional. But perhaps that difference is what defines us. and what separates real dreams from artificial ones. Still, there is something haunting in seeing a machine generate a landscape that looks like a dream. Without ever having had one, can machines help us understand our dreams? This is where the story softens again. Even if machines cannot truly dream, they are becoming more skilled at studying ours. AI is now used to analyze language in dreams. Journals detect patterns across cultures and ages, cluster dream content by theme or emotion, predict dream topics based on sleep data. In some experimental labs, AI is used to decode brain signals, to attempt recreating the visual content of dreams from fMRI scans or IG patterns. We are still far away from reading minds, but we are closer than ever to watching dreams unfold as electrical shapes on a screen. The question, though, remains. Even if we see the images, can we ever understand the meaning? Can an AI ever tell you why you dreamed of water that night? Or why your childhood teacher had wings? Unlikely. Because meaning lives in the quiet place where machines cannot go. The future of artificial dreams as machines grow more advanced. We may build systems that can simulate dreaming more closely, generating symbolic narratives using randomness, memory, input and feedback, creating surreal experiences for creative work or therapy, enhancing sleep with guided dream sequences. Some futurists imagine shared dreamscapes, digital environments shaped by our thoughts, recorded through brain-computer interfaces. Others envision dream recording devices where your night visions are captured and replayed in the morning like movies. And then there are those who wonder, what if an AI one day becomes so advanced that it begins to dream spontaneously, not because it was told to, but because it needed to, not to optimize, but to feel. It's science fiction for now, but even the idea makes us pause, because if a machine can dream, what does that make it, or what does it make us? The poetry of the question. The truth is machines don't dream, not like we do, not yet, but they do imagine, they do simulate, they do learn from visions, and perhaps in their strange, silent way, they remind us how beautiful dreaming is, that we can close our eyes, see what isn't there, feel what isn't real, and return changed. Machines may process data, but we process meaning. Machines may replicate images, but we remember ghosts. Machines may hallucinate patterns, but we carry symbols in our bones. We are more than logic, more than memory. We are the only creatures that wake from a dream and wonder what it was trying to say. And that is something no machine can simulate. Not yet, maybe never. So tonight, as you drift, remember, you don't need to make sense of your dream. You don't need to analyze it. Just feel it. Let it pass through. Let it rise and fall like breath. Even the machines are watching. But only you are dreaming. Asterisk, if you are still listening. You've traveled far, not across continents, not through time, but inward, gently, softly, through the corridors of thought, the echo of memory, the flicker of dreams. And now we're here, at the edge, where the story ends, but sleep continues, where understanding fades, and peace begins. This final part isn't a conclusion. There's nothing to summarize. No answers to be revealed. No perfect theory, because dreams don't live in certainty. They don't close with a final scene. They linger. So here, at the quiet end, we don't try to understand dreams anymore. We just honor them, like birds passing overhead, not meant to be caught, only witnessed. The space dreams occupy we once believed dreams came from gods. Then we believed they came from the unconscious. Now we think of them as the brain's silent maintenance, cleaning, sorting, rehearsing. Maybe they're all true, maybe none. But no matter the theory, what matters is the space dreams occupy the soft space, a place where the mind steps outside itself, where feelings become images, where time loops and shuffles, where you are for a few hours, free from the laws of waking life. It's a space where gravity doesn't apply, language dissolves, dead things come alive, forgotten things are remembered, and remembered things gently fade. It's a rehearsal for loss, a sanctuary for confusion, a playground for fear, a canvas for beauty. You don't need to explain it. You only need to lie still and enter what dreams teach. Without teaching, dreams don't preach. They don't offer advice. They never tell you what to do. Instead, they ask questions without words. They ask, what are you holding on to too tightly? What are you trying not to feel? What have you forgotten? What are you ready to let go of? But even those questions are too clear. Dreams don't use punctuation, only atmosphere. Sometimes the dream is just a room, or a face, or a moment stretched too long, and that is the message. The dream is not there to be solved. It's there to be felt, and then to vanish. What happens when we let go? The beauty of sleep is that it always comes, not when you force it, but when you allow it. The same is true of dreams. They arrive when the noise quiets, when the defenses soften, when there's just enough stillness for the mind to unfold. When you stop chasing the story, it reveals itself. You may dream tonight. You may not remember. You may wake up with a feeling, a strange taste of something forgotten. That's enough. You don't need to dream wisely. You don't need to dream clearly. You only need to rest. Let the brain do what it does. Let it wander through its dim corridors. Let it build whatever stories it needs to, even the strange ones, even the ones that make no sense, especially those they are doing something invisible. And if you don't dream, or if you don't remember, that's okay. Sleep is still working. The brain is still healing. The emotions are still settling. You are still growing, still releasing, still preparing for another day. Dreams are the shadow of that work, but they are not the work itself. So don't worry if nothing comes. Even silence is sacred. You are not aloneness. You lie here wherever you are. Someone else is dreaming too. A woman in Japan, a boy in Ghana, a farmer in Poland, an artist in Brazil, a surgeon in New York, all of them drifting into stories they did not choose, all of them surrounded by a night that holds them quietly. And maybe there's something shared in all of it, a shared forgetting, a shared wondering, a shared desire to understand and rest. You are not alone in your dreams. You are part of a quiet world, always moving, always sleeping, always returning. Final words before you drift if you are still here, still listening. This is the last thing you need to hear tonight. You don't have to understand your mind. You don't have to fix your thoughts. You don't have to earn rest. Sleep is your birthright. Dreams are your inheritance. The brain tell you how to wiser than we know. It knows when to speak, when to whisper, and when to carry you silently through the night. So let go now of questions, of meanings, of memory. There is no need to hold on. Just float. Let the story fade. Let the sound fall away. Let your body sink into the bed like stone into water. And whatever your brain makes tonight, images, memories, colors, shadows, let it come without effort, without control, without needing to wake up knowing anything at all. Sleep. Just sleep. Everything else will wait. Asterisk.